The opinions expressed on the radio program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in again to GenesisRadio.com. My name is Kendall Stevenson, and I am the host of The Empowerment Show. My co-host is Shaquana Terry.
Hello, everyone.
My guest is Diana Butts. Say hello, Diana.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad you decided to be here. So usually we start this show off with a moment of gratitude. I'm going to hit you up first.
You always hit me up first. I'm going to let you do it now.
All right, let's see what I have as a moment of gratitude. What has exactly happened to me today that's been really special? Let me think. I woke up this morning.
That's right.
So I think that's something that's really, really, I should be gracious and grateful for. Thank you. Next.
Okay. Of course, I'm always grateful to God for waking me up every single morning and just having me in my right mind and ready to pursue the day. That is really it. I'm thankful for my family and all my friends and all you wonderful people here at Genesis Radio, as well as our new guests on our show tonight.
Okay, what am I grateful? You know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful that my daughter, who could be doing anything with anybody else, came to hang out with her mom today.
I love that. Yes,
Yeah,
I love
that's
mother-daughter
a wonderful
time.
thing. Hello, daughter. How are you?
Hi,
Say
daughter.
hi. All right, so we're going to get this thing rolling. You're a life coach, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what does that mean, being a life coach?
That means that I have this superpower of being able to listen to people, to understand the things that they're saying, to hear the things that they're not, and to help them to come to the realization of whatever problem they're having in their life, and finding the answer, and not giving them the answer, finding the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like an excavator. I help you to go deep into yourself to figure out what's going on with you in that moment.
I also understand that you are ordained minister.
I'm not ordained. I'm a commissioned lay pastor in the Presbyterian Church.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that I did not go to seminary. Well, I don't have a seminary degree. I went to seminary. Every time I went, I got sick. And after the second time, I said, okay, God, you're trying to tell me something.
So is this what motivated you to become a life coach?
Actually, I am a social worker by profession. I've spent over 20 years as a school social worker in Jersey. And I have been taking care of people in that, serving them in some way, shape, or another since I can remember. From collecting money at Trick or Treat for UNICEF when I was a youngster in church, to just taking care of folks. I started a ministry in Patterson, Greater Faith Works, and we went out on the streets and started praying with folks and getting to know people who hang out on the street corner.
Wow.
I mean, hanging hard. And so out there, we two ladies that was sitting about 10 feet away from us got busted one time. I didn't even know they was out there selling drugs. They would be there every week with us. I said, either I'm losing it, I'm a little naive, or they're really slick. They were really slick, though. I had no idea they were selling drugs right there while we praying with folks. Got my eyes closed, praying with folks. But but it was an interesting experience, and it got me out of myself. It got me to look at people a little differently. And so, if someone is looking for a non-judgmental ear to listen to what it is they have to say, I'm the person.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
the
why I
person
asked
you
you.
want. Yeah.
Your background, this gives you the passion for what you're doing now. Is that what it is?
I love people.
Mhm.
I was a sociology major. I like to dissect and look at the issues of society and then try to figure out how can we heal this.
Mhm.
And so I guess on some level I'm a healer because I'm always looking for solutions and I think what drew me to being a life coach is that I realized the solutions aren't out there. The solutions are in here.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you connect to what's in here in order for you to find your solution? So I'm the person to ask the questions. And I listen and I ask. I try not to ever give advice. It's hard because
Mhm.
I'm an advice giver. I can tell you what, you know what you probably should do, but I refrain from doing that because that's not the role of the coach.
Yeah, but also just in case your advice doesn't pan out.
Then I'm responsible, and I
Yeah,
ain't
then
being
Yes.
the finger
responsible.
does that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need that to
And you
happen.
know
Yeah.
what? I find that people who really don't want to help themselves will always
Blame.
blame somebody else. So they
Yes.
they will drag it out of you because they want the advice. So they can say, "Well, I did what you told me, and it didn't
Yeah.
work." Okay, that's not my fault. That's your fault because you shouldn't have listened.
Mhm.
But they're not never going to see it that way. So, um, I started doing this about 5 years ago. Started my church was offering training, and I joined one of the cohorts and began doing this and found out I had a real passion for it, a real gift for coaching. Um, I did not like doing therapy.
Mm.
I'm a social worker, but I didn't. I started doing therapy with children. Didn't like that.
Kind of sounds like an oxymoron.
Yeah, you know what it is, Adam. I guess I've been in a position of rescuing people, and that's how people see social workers sometimes. Like you give the answers, you provide the resources, you point me in the direction, and sometimes when you are in a field like social work, you're meeting people in the most difficult times of their lives. You know, maybe something has happened traumatic, and so you're trying to help the family to heal and how and get back on track. There's the death in the family, or there's some tragic incident that happened. It's always something. And I worked in the school system, so you know when you're working with children, the last thing you want to do is see them hurting, and
Right.
so you try to be the remedy. And so you come in with your cape on, and you're supposed to rescue them. And working in the school system, if the kid's having a problem or a bad day, they want to bring them to you and sit them before you, and you got 40 minutes to heal this problem, get this kid back in the classroom, and have them sit down and listen. Sit down and listen because the teacher ain't listening to him.
They
And
just,
they listen in my room because I
yeah.
can engage them in a different way, and trying to get the adults to then change. It was a difficult thing, but I had some successes with it. So, it wasn't bad. I just
Shaquana,
didn't
you,
want
you ever had a need for a life coach? Or?
I think that we all have a need for a life
to.
coach.
Yes.
It seems that this is really innate for you because you've always been in. It sounds like you've helped people of all different ages, right?
Hmm.
And it seems that that's something that you enjoy doing. But I think as a life coach, I think you have a lot more freedom now to actually assist those people in where they are at the moment. Because most times when you're going in for therapy, right, you're going in because something traumatic has happened, as you stated. But as a life coach, you're trying to get them to a point where they don't ever have to really go through that. They understand why certain things are happening in their life, and then you give them that guidance from there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm teaching a skill too
Yeah.
because there are things that you have people do so they can reflect their reflection exercises. Journaling is the one of the main ones, but there are reflection exercises that people can do that try to go into themselves a little deeper so they can understand what's happening with them in the moment. So, for instance, somebody may be talking about a conversation they had with their partner, and as they're talking about it, you see their body movements change. Maybe they look more tense now that they're talking about this particular part. And I'll stop
Partner.
them and say,
Mhm.
you're tensing up right now. Did you realize that? And they'll go, it's like, take a moment and breathe.
Yeah.
Now tell me what that was all about.
I love that. Do you find it hard to teach like emotional intelligence? Because that's huge right now.
You
It's,
know, I don't know that I teach it. I think what I try to do is get people to understand themselves.
Mm.
And you know, when you have self awareness, then you tend to engage with other people differently as well,
mm,
Mhm.
because you tend to understand. So I can go into a store and have a situation where somebody turns around and cusses me out, and I know I didn't do anything, and I'll go, wow, okay, well, I wonder what happened to this person today, you know. And so instead of me getting mad and saying, who you think you're talking to, the whole interaction. It's like, excuse me, are you okay?
mhm.
Is there something I can give to you? Do you need to talk about something? And it just disarms people because they're not ready for it.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not ready for it. Sometimes people want to fight,
They're
and I'm
ready for
not
you to match
giving you.
energy,
I'm
right?
not giving you. No, I don't match energy. No, because then you're
Yeah.
controlling me. I don't
Yes,
match
yes.
energy.
I love that.
You coming down? No, we
Uh-huh.
doing this peace thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I learned the
Mm-hmm.
hard way that joy is a choice.
Mhm.
It's a decision that you make. So I can cuss back. I
Mm.
know how to cuss, but it's if I'm going to hold on to my peace
Yes.
and have my joy and be at the level that I want to be, and my blood pressure is good, I'm not going to respond the way you responded. You know, the way
Mhm.
you came at me, because I don't match energy. I like peace too much,
Yeah,
and
my
you
favorite,
can't have it.
my favorite sentiment when someone comes at me, I'm like,
Mhm.
huh, okay. Mm,
Exactly. And
Do the
even
all
if
right.
you just
woosah,
Like,
huh?
let me
you got to take a moment. Let me process this for a
let
little
me
while,
process
because
that
you
emotion because I know where you're trying to take me.
exactly. So and I have just loved people for the longest time. I mean, just love talking to folks and having conversations and figuring out where they came from and who they are and what motivates them and the things that make them angry. So I really do enjoy this, and I hear stories from people about the things that they're going through. And sometimes things you never imagined, like someone that I knew, she and her partner never knew she was thinking about a divorce,
Oh,
and
wow.
things
Yeah.
like that. So, and I carry folks' secrets.
Mm.
Oh, let me
I
tell you,
bet.
working in a school, everybody's your client. And that was the best advice. One of the elders, social workers, another woman that worked in school with me, she said, honey, don't ever stop using your skills. Use your skills. I don't care who you're talking to, whether it's the superintendent or the custodian, use your skills. You always working. Everybody's your client.
Mhm.
That was the best piece of advice. And I approach people like that. And so I'm very often not responding. I'm asking questions to try to gain understanding. And if I can understand you, I can forgive you. And if I
Hmm.
can forgive you, then I'm not going to walk away, having these ill feelings towards you. I don't have enemies.
Yeah.
My husband tell you we don't even argue.
But you have the enemy, the inner enemy.
That's the one you better be careful
All
of.
right. I hear you, Kendall. I hear
Hold on one second, please.
This is getting good. Okay, I'm
you.
gonna hold on.
Again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to GenesisRadio.com. If you'd like to give us a call, the telephone number is 888-304-4401. Our address is at 383 East Brown Street, and that would be East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Again, thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to give us a call, that would be 888-304-4401. Thank you.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you listening in here on Genesis Radio with our guest, Diane Butts, who is a life coach. So please listen in. And if you want to ask her any questions, like my host said, 888-304-4401.
So I know you face a lot of challenges
Mhm,
in your profession, but I'm going to ask you this question first.
mhm.
What credentials do you actually have that you need in order to do what you do?
It's funny because of life coaching, there is no license, there's no particular credentials you need to have. There are a lot of people out there training life coaches, but my training is with the program that was certified by the International Coaching Federation. That's one of the largest, the most world renowned and recognized coaching institution that there is in the world. It's I forget how many countries, but it's all over the world: Africa, Asia, in Europe. It's there are coaches literally from every country in the world that belongs to ICF.
Mm.
And so that's the program I went through. I am in the process of being certified. This certification process is a little lengthy. It could take as short as 6 months or as long as 4 years, depending on how you do it. So
Okay.
I finished my training maybe 3 years ago. So I am in the process of doing my recordings now, because you actually coach someone and you do a recording and a transcript and you submit that and you take a test and all of that. So when you become credentialed by them, they know, and they're putting their reputation behind you as a coach. There's a set code of ethics and all, just what any other profession would have. But the most important thing, I think, in your training is learning how to listen and understanding that you're not there to fix anybody. You're there to help them to find the answer for themselves. And so you're taking a journey with that person into their issue, into their life, and listening and asking the questions that help bring them insight.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'll tell anybody, if you're looking for somebody to give you the answers and map out a plan for you, you don't want me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the one. If you're looking to figure out why you have such a toxic relationship with your mom, and I can't go way back into your childhood with you, because that's the work of a therapist. Some of that work takes a long time, and because I have done therapy and because I am trained in that way, I could recognize when the person really needs to go see a psychologist or a therapist about an issue that may be a mental health issue.
Okay.
So I can at least discern that, professionally discern it. So and not just as a minister, but as a social worker, trained
Right,
social
you
worker.
can detect if someone has
Yeah,
mental health.
and refer them to them. Now I'm making a referral. I can still work with you, but you need to go see the other person too, because the issues that you're having are not the issues that we're going to work on.
So how long do you stay with a client
I try to do short term, because if you're doing it right, they shouldn't have to come to you for long. So, right now I'm offering, actually, if anybody's listening right now, you have the opportunity to engage with one of my pet projects. It's a group that I'm starting, and it's called Daughters of Divine Joy. And what we would do is have live coaching every week for 8 weeks. And at the end of that time, you should at least have the confidence and the clarity that you require in order to pursue what it is that you were either wanting to go, making a transition, or if you were stuck and there was something just not happening for you and you just can't figure this out. It's like, I keep doing these things and I'm getting the same results over and over and over. Well, let's take a look at what you're doing. How are you talking about it? A lot of times when we speak about our story, when we talk about our lives, it's the language that we're using when we talk about it that keeps us stuck and unfocused. Sometimes it's the expectations of what we have as Black women, as women of color. Our culture sometimes keeps us in places where we don't need to be. I was listening to some women talk today about us and our expectations, how we are always trying to, we're looking at other people's expectation of us and trying to either overcome them or surpass them. But it's about other people defining what we're doing instead of us saying, you know what, I really don't care what you think about me. I really don't care what your expectation is. What I care about is how I do it and love doing what I do, how I stand in what I do, how I operate with integrity. That's what I care about. I don't need your authorization or permission to
There's
be.
that minister. That's
Listen,
that minister.
I
That's the
hear it.
minister coming out.
I hear
So
it.
what kind of advice, when you give advice, would you at least give somebody advice to like take a vacation?
Oh Oh yeah, I would tell you that.
And if they were going to take a vacation, what would they do?
They would actually reach out to Diana Rosa with Look Several
right.
Vacations. She is a sponsor here. The email address is, or the website you can go to is luxevovacations.com. It's LUX as in X-ray, EVOVACATIONS.com. If you didn't get that, it's Luxevo Vacations. And her name is Diana Rosa, and she is the certified travel specialist there. Reach out to her. She has great deals on her website, and she'll be able to cater a specialized trip just for you. So once again, that's Luxevo Vacations, Diana Rosa.
Let me ask you again that you were talking about an organization, Daughters of
Divine Joy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Daughters of Divine Joy. It's
is that a 501c?
No, it is a program that I am offering from my company, Sage Coaching Dynamics. And so what I am doing is offering group coaching with a small group. I know a lot of people are doing these memberships on Facebook, and you join this community, and there's like 4,000 people on there, and you're trying to entertain everybody and engage people and get them talking. That sounds like a lot of work to me.
But
and it's not my personality. I'm not that person. I'm not an entertainer. So I prefer to work with a small number of people. So what I'm doing is grouping people in groups of 5 and spending 90 minutes every week to have an intimate conversation with them. I am able to keep their identities. I'm not going to say a secret, but we can have a measure of, if you're working on Zoom, you don't have to show your picture, you can change your name. So we can have a measure of anonymity, but really have some real talk. And so with 90 minutes, I can give each person at least a good 15 minutes to talk, and you can do a lot of coaching in 15 minutes. I used to think it was hard to do. You have to be focused and laser focused on a particular issue. You can't say, well, I don't know what I want to do for my career. And well, that's a little broad, so we got to bring that down, narrow it down. But yeah, so we can do that, and it gives them an opportunity to spend 8 weeks really digging into an issue and looking at it, getting feedback from other people in the group. I have found that it is so helpful. I work with a business coach, and sometimes I will tune in to her sessions just to hear what other people are doing and some of the issues that they're dealing with and grappling with and how they're able to overcome. And so I tune into the coaching not because I always want to be coached. So sometimes I just want to listen and I get so much out of it. And so if I'm not contributing about a problem that I'm having in my business, what I'm talking about, what I will do is give feedback and tell them how listening to them have helped me and what I got out of what they were talking about and how I think I can apply it to my life or to my business. So it's a wonderful thing when you have folks that are cheering you on. And that's what a life coach is like, your own personal cheerleader that's looking for the best from you, that has your best interest at heart, that believes in the dreams that you have and will do. I mean, it's such a positive experience. I have come, even like when my mother died, I was in training at the time, and having my peers coach me was giving me the opportunity to cry, giving me the opportunity to talk about my mother and just listen.
Yes.
And it just made the experience of dealing with the grief that much more helpful. It really did, because it gave me an opportunity to experience all the emotions, that talk about, let's say, you smile really wide when you talk about your mother's cooking and, her baking. And so things of that nature. It was a good experience. So yeah, I would tell anybody that being able to come to have a group coaching experience is probably one of the best things you can do. It's, even, and what I do is try to take the people that I'm working with, people that want to work, to do this work with me. I will take them and group them according to who they are, age groups, and things. So I'm not saying there won't be intergenerational, but if I know that
There's that word again.
there's somebody who's struggling in a relationship, and maybe there's somebody who's been married for 40 years, or somebody that just got divorced and coming back from a bad breakup, then maybe we need to be together and kind of talk.
It's nice to
so we
hear
can
someone
learn.
use that word in the proper context.
Mhm.
So about this organization, how is it funded?
Well, people pay.
People pay, yeah.
Okay,
Something
well,
you have to pay for.
So
And-
so
and-
for these groups,
And what does it cost?
for these 8-week groups, it is $600 for 8 weeks. I charge $150 per session for an individual person. I do, and I structure in packages when I have repeat people. I do offer discounts and things of that nature. I'm retired, so I'm not trying to be a millionaire or anything like that because I ain't got the energy.
So if someone wanted to get in contact with you, let's say someone actually wanted to utilize the services, how do we do
I
that?
got a brand new phone number that I don't have right now.
Oh, my Lord.
I do have it. It's on my cell phone, but
That happens.
yeah.
Do you have a website or anything?
Yes,
like
I
that?
do. That we're working on it. Actually, there is a flyer on your website.
On my website. Well, it's not there yet, but it's probably
It will
going to
be there, but I'm going to give you the
Upload that,
stuff
right?
in a
Mhm.
minute.
And our website is www.com, PA empowermentshow.com.
www.paempowermentshow.com.
And I'm going to give you the number for Sage Coaching Dynamics. It is 570-218-9688.
And what is the name of the organization again?
Sage Coaching Dynamics. So you can go to sagecoachingdynamics.com and you'll find, my old website is still up. So you can find that. You can see a couple things about me, find out about me, and some of the packages that I'm offering right now. But we're revising a lot of things. We're revising and revamping.
I kind of dug it when you decided that you wanted to speak to your elders, right? That's like talking to your ancestors. Is that what that is?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, we got a trip to the National Museum of African American
I love your
Museum.
segue.
And the culture.
I tell you.
It's going to be on Saturday. It's going to be April 20th. Now, the bus leaves. It departs at 6 a.m. sharp. It returns at 7 p.m. sharp at the same pickup and drop-off point. And that's going to be Biospectral location at North 3rd Street and McConnell Street. For adults, it's going to be $85. For children, it's going to be $50 under 18. If you want to get tickets, bit.ly/SLBHA bus trip 2024. That's bit.ly/SLBHA bus trip 2024. And this is going by the Stroudsburg Little Bethel Historical Association. Okay? All right.
And this is up on the
Very
website
good.
as well.
Okay, so next week you'll be doing one of these promos from my business.
I don't know. Are you planning on sponsoring us?
I may.
We love
We would love that.
We love
Yes,
sponsors.
we love
Okay.
sponsors.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody looking to sponsor the show, please,
Yes.
you give us a call. And
Yeah,
we
I
certainly take care
would. I
of
would
you.
like to do that. I really would. Seriously.
Okay.
So we need to talk later.
Yes,
Off,
ma'am.
off
Yes, ma'am.
camera.
I did want to ask you, in this day and age right now, especially after COVID, right? Everything is virtual. Everything is online or whatever it may be. Do you have more success coaching one-on-one in person or virtually? If that's something that you offer.
I have not had a chance to do it in person. I have done it over the phone
Mhm.
in a call or virtually. Those are the only two ways I have done it.
Mhm.
And I have done other things like women's conferences or workshops and things of that nature in person, and I prefer it. I prefer that energy coming right in the moment. But I've done a lot of workshops and master classes and things of that nature online as well.
Mhm.
And you're able I don't like doing a master class when you feel like you're doing a PowerPoint and then you're over in the corner of that. I don't like. I like situations where we can all talk and contribute. So um, that's more my jam. But in person, I love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have no problem getting in front of a crowd of people and speaking. Um,
Well, you're a minister. If you got a problem getting in front of speaking people, you're gonna have a problem ministering.
Well, you know what? But there are some people who are very shy and they don't like being out in front of the camera because I look
Uh-huh.
as extroverted as I appear. I'm very introverted. I really am. I can go in my house on a Friday evening and you don't have to see me again until Monday morning.
It's the best.
And I
I'm
cannot
telling
talk
you.
to anybody or see anybody, and I'm happy.
It's the best. People are like, when are you coming outside? I'm like,
I
I don't want
wanna.
to come outside, right?
Yeah.
It's what I get to protect my energy, one, protect my peace.
Hmm.
When I'm in my home, in my sanctuary, I
Yes.
get to protect that. But
Yes.
I get what you're saying because whenever you're doing something like life coaching or even just being a minister, you want to speak to that person in person, right, right there, live and in person, right? Because
Yeah.
you get to notice body language, also facial expressions, things of that
Hmm.
nature that you can pick
Yeah.
up on, right?
And so what happens is that if I'm on the phone, I have to then be listening to their voice and changes in their tone and their cadence. They will give
Yeah.
away the little messages and things. So they will let you know where there's feeling and emotion, there's tension. You
Mhm.
know, when somebody starts stuttering a lot, there's feelings there. So there are ways to pick these things up, these little subtleties up. When I'm on camera, it's even better because it's like because I can see you. I may not see the
Mhm.
whole body, but I can see you. If your leg is shaking, I may not know, but if I see this part of you
Mhm.
moving, I'm like, what's going on with your
There's that
body there?
nervous
Why
energy
you?
there. What's going on with that nervous energy?
I'm telling you, and so yeah,
Yeah.
there are ways of seeing that, and there are ways of hearing it, and there are ways of discerning that, and because of my connection to the spirit, there are ways of being, I'll get little
I
messages.
understand that.
I get little
I
messages and
understand
I'm
that.
like,
Hmm.
okay, God, you really want me to go there, right?
Hmm.
And I said,
And you
okay.
better go there.
And I yeah, don't think if I get the message, I'm going
Yeah,
there. I'm
yeah.
gonna find a way. Even if it's something one of those, like pow, because
Yes.
sometimes the spirit does that. I
Mhm.
will find a way to say it that will have the power, but it's given to you in a nice way. Like I'm gonna hand it to you on a cloud,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean it ain't heavy.
Right, but it's a
It
heavy
doesn't
one.
mean it's not
Yes,
impactful.
yes.
So yeah, I can deliver the message, hard messages in nice ways. Even like when I have, because I told you I'm Presbyterian, like the Presbyterian Church is 90% European.
Mhm.
I will go into a church and be the only black person in the room. And if the Lord gives me a word about, whatever I'm talking about, if there's a racial issue that can be brought up, I'm bringing it up.
Mm.
I have to bring it up. And so a friend of mine said, so what are you, the white people whisperer? How do you get away with saying stuff like
She
that?
didn't say
Because
that.
you have
And
power
they
behind
ask you
you.
back.
She didn't
She
say
did,
that.
and they really asked you
She
back to
did.
the church. I
Listen,
said they like it.
listen. You
They
have
like to
power
be
behind
called
you,
out.
and
Yeah.
if you're
And
anybody that likes
so
the truth,
yeah,
then you
and
won't
that's
be
what
offended.
it is. And even when we were on the streets praying with people, I have spoken to folks. I remember talking to this guy, and I was just whatever came up, I was saying, and he kept saying, "Babe," he looked at his wife. He said, "Are you hearing this? Are you hearing this?" And I was just talking to him. I didn't know anything about him. Didn't know he had a son. He did have one. I was just talking to him about his son, his children. I was talking about him standing up and being a man and taking responsibility. And he was like, he said, I need to let you know where I just came from. He said, I went down to the court because my child's mother has got me on some mess, and I went and turned myself in.
Mm.
He said, I paid bail. He said, because I need my son to understand that I'm standing up, I'm going to face this like a man because I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
And so you stand up and you face this. He said, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe she's going to get away with these lies, but I have to stand up for it. And so I said, let me pray for you. You mind if I pray for you? And he said, no. And I grabbed his hand and he jerked it away. And I was like, what's the matter? He said, nothing. And I grabbed his hand again. He jerked it away. He said, every time you touch me, this is the second time. He said, you touch me, I keep seeing my grandmother. I said, is she alive? He said, no.
Wow.
I said, okay. I said, maybe she's here with us now.
Hell yeah.
You know, and so it is something to be able to have that gift and ability to be able to speak something that the person has not told me, and yet they need to hear. And it's something for the moment and something for their lives.
As a life coach, can you tell me one of your biggest success stories through your journey? You know, you're going to obviously you travel the very.
She's just given us at least 13 of them.
I wish my status was top growing. That would be a success.
You know, pretty much how do you define a success story?
When someone changes, when they change their behaviors, that's a success story. Because a lot of times we find ourselves stuck because we don't change behaviors. Behavior is a hard thing to change, first of all. It takes a lot of commitment.
Yes.
You got to be honest with yourself. You can't blame anybody. You got to look at you. And a lot of us don't like to do that. And so I had a young woman. She was involved with somebody over more than 20 years older than her, who was not quite a mature man, just in age, but not in action. And she was trying to rescue her, trying to save him, I just see so much potential. Yeah, you see it, you don't.
See it. Yeah.
If he's not seeing it, what are you going to do with his potential?
Because he's just going to deplete you.
He's got to do it. And so she finally was able to break away and be whole and be healed. Still triggered by some of those things, but what she'll call me up, Miss Diane, we need to talk. And I was like, okay. So she's like on speed dial.
I love that she's self-aware though, because that's
she
important.
And works with me, works with the therapist, and knows that there are different things. And sometimes she'll call and she said, I know you don't want to tell me what to do, but I need to know your feedback. I need to hear your feedback. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to take my hat off. I'm going to take my life coach hat off. And now I'm going to do some mothering with you. Leave that fool alone. and then I'll put my coach hat back on. I said, now how did that sound to you? Process that for me. What do you think about what I just said?
Yeah.
She's like, well, is that a thought you have? And she said, yeah. I said, okay. So you're looking for permission?
I think that sometimes, you get into a place where if you're not self-aware, you're not understanding why you think you have to stay around energies like that. You become codependent on people, right? So I think that that's why it's important, even before you enter in relationships. And sometimes we all don't have the luxury to do that, but just to kind of assess ourselves and say, okay, do I have any childhood trauma in there? Do I have anything in there that's going to make me dependent on this person? Or even, it doesn't even have to be the opposite sex. It just be friends or addictions and things of that nature. Right. It definitely is important for us to be able to do that. But kudos to you, because that has to be a pretty huge tug on your energy when you're trying to get that out of these people that you
know what?
Gotta ask you a question.
What?
So with all of this knowledge, life coach and everything, how do you control your daughter?
Hold on, excuse me. I was talking, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't.
I just want to know.
Control?
I just wanted to know.
Yeah, she said, did he use the word control?
As if
Well,
I'm
yeah,
out of
yeah.
control.
Oh,
with that.
I just want to, I want you to, could you please
She's out of
explain?
control.
That,
Oh.
that
Did
Control her.
he use control?
I don't control her.
Don't control her.
As she
No,
just
I've
said,
raised
even more
her.
so, listen,
I
as you
raised
were
her.
saying, you have to be able to face your trauma before you get in a
Before you
relationship.
get it.
As you are aware, I recently got in a relationship. I spent 4 years working on myself.
Yeah.
She don't give me answers. She don't control me. As much as I reach out to her and try to get her to give me answers, she doesn't do it. So I got to do that work myself. There is no control. I am 33 years old. I faced everything from my past because I knew it was time.
Yeah.
Because of her. She's there, but she don't help. She don't help.
I love that for you. I love
guess
that
she's a
for
good
you.
life coach then.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
love
Is
that
that
for
what it
you.
is?
Yes,
So
yes.
she's helped you to help
I love
yourself.
that.
That's what she
You know
did.
what I did though? I told my daughter when she was young, trust that voice, that small, still voice inside of you, because that's the God spirit that God placed in you.
Yes,
So, and that's why I said joy is a decision,
yes.
because we have that thing in us. And I think when I understood that God has placed a part of His spirit in me from a young girl,
Mhm.
I have all my life been saying, I want to live from that place.
Yes.
I don't care if it's just one molecule of what makes up Diane.
Mhm.
I want to live from that place of godliness.
Yes.
And so for me, and I'm different. I understand. I'm Presbyterian. I ain't got a hoop nor a holler when I preach, but I got a powerful message. And it's delivered with love and care and concern for the person's soul. And so all these, oh, you can't be a boy, you can't have abortion, you can't do that. I'm not responsible for you.
No, and I tell people that
You
all the time.
and your
I don't have to
relationship
stand with
God
you.
is for you.
Yes,
You
yes.
read that word for yourself.
Yes.
What are you getting out of it? Now, do I believe that we're supposed to come together as a community and share with one another and take care of one another? Yes, I do. Are we doing that as a church? Not really. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Well,
So let
I
me-
want
let-
you.
I'm sorry.
I want you to take. I want you to take your life coach hat off right now, okay?
No,
And
I
I'm,
don't.
excuse me, sir.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I would like for you to put your mother's hat on, right? And I'm just going to give you a testimony from myself, right?
Mhm.
So I'm no stranger to loss, right? Both my parents are passed when I was younger, and my husband recently passed 2 years ago from cancer. So I know me. I know that God did not want me to be in a place of grief, right? He says, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." So it's up to me to say when that joy comes, right?
Mhm.
When you have people around you that want you to stay in a place of grief, right? It becomes detrimental to you. And my question to you is, how do you deal with people who actually want you or want to stay in a place of grief, especially if it's not beneficial to them?
You know what? That is grief is very difficult, and you have to know how to go through your grief. You can still have joy in the
Mhm.
midst of your grief.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people think it's an either or thing. No, it's both. It's
Thank you.
synergy.
Thank you.
We are live human beings. So okay, my mother died 3 years ago now. And one of the things that I did, I preached a eulogy. It was COVID. I didn't have a lot of, people to choose from. Our pastor had died. So I did it. I don't know what I said. I can't tell you anything. All I know is I preached my butt off that day.
Yes,
Can't
yes.
remember a word of it.
Pain
Can't
into
watch.
power.
But the thing was, I had decided that I was going to, as she was getting sicker and sicker, and I knew she was leaving me, I had just made up my mind that I'm going to miss. This is the most precious person in my life. This is the person that gave me life, that made me the person I am. I am going to miss her. However, Lord, please let me see some joy. Even during the midst of
Yes.
funeralizing her and putting her away, I want to know joy. I want to experience joy. I want to feel her presence. My mother comes to me all the time. We talk all the time. Our relationship has not changed. She's just not physically here.
Yeah.
But she's here in my daughter, she's here in me, and the people that she associated with, folks from the church, even some of the folks on the street that we took care of. When they came into that church and they saw when she finally came out, they said, "There she go. That's the cook. Come on out here, mom." And she just loved them and they loved her. And so that stays with you. You don't need to be in grief, crying, looking bad, not combing your hair. That's depression.
That's depression.
That's not grief.
Thank
That's
you.
not-
So when they see me, they're like, "Whoa, you don't look like." I'm like, "What am I supposed to look like?"
Right. There is no particular look to grief.
I'm like,
You can
"What?"
be fly as I don't know what and still have a broken heart.
Because I know that he wouldn't want me to be looking like that. I didn't look like that when I was with him. So he's not going to want me to. And we've had those conversations, him and I, even as he was transitioning. I'm like, I had like almost anticipatory grief because I knew it was coming. So I'm like, let me handle my emotions right now so that when it comes, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
You can do, and you were able to do that with him.
Yes, I was able to do it with him.
And that's special because you were able to process that. You were able. That's like the Lord let me know the day my mother was going to die, and said, "Get up, go say what you need to say, because I'm coming to get her today." And I said, "Okay," and I got right up 5 o'clock in the morning, went in the room and talked to her and kissed her and said goodbye and told her, "Don't worry about my brother, because he's gonna be all right. The same God that kept you and keeps me will keep him as well.
I love it.
And I'm gonna let him.
I love it.
I'm gonna stay out the way, mommy. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so you go on and do what you gotta do. You go take care of yourself. Go be with God. I'm gonna be all right. I'll be talking to you and I'll be seeing you."
And that's cool.
Okay.
I really want to
There you
ask you
go.
a question.
What?
So I noticed that a lot of solutions, the thing you have, are religious based.
Mhm.
So if a person is an atheist, what do you tell them? How do you treat this particular person?
With the same love and dignity. It's not what I believe has nothing to do with what they believe. So I'm going to speak to you out of my faith and my understanding of God. You don't have to accept it, and we don't even have to mention God's name. Because God is in you. So there's a place in that person if they think that everything that they do is their spiritual being, or if they're not a spiritual being, but I am who I am and I do this for me. Okay, but I believe I can do all things through God who strengthens me. So I'm gonna do that.
Now, I was just
You
wondering
do.
if you open
No, I don't
all
force anybody
all
to do
clients.
anything.
That's all.
Yeah,
kinds of clients.
I'm open to anybody, whether you're Muslim or Buddhist, because I can learn from you. You can learn from me. We can share. And let me see. Evangelism to me is not me telling you what to choose or how to be. Evangelism to me is me greeting you and meeting you with love, with grace, with mercy, with understanding, with kindness, patience, and that's God.
Yeah.
And that's God. So as long as I'm coming to you in that frame, in that container, then I'm I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my godly thing. I'm following Jesus. Jesus didn't always demand. He just said, "Go and sin no more." He didn't say, "Come follow me." Like a lot of them did, but not everybody did.
And despite what you see on the news and all these media outlets, every religion has the same basis. Everyone it has the same belief, and that's love.
And it's one.
That's all. One thing is love is the basis of everything.
I
So if you
always
believe
say
that,
that.
that's it.
I always tell people this:
The highest vibration, man.
There is one God.
Yes.
And we call them different names because we're different people. We're not even Christians aren't even all the same.
No.
I looked on the sheet. It's like about 40 different kind of Baptists.
We're gonna talk about that later. Some man decided.
Thank you.
We're gonna talk about that later.
And then people tell me, "Well, God says," and God says, I said, "You know what? If you understand everything about God, I don't think I want to know that God. Because He's too simple."
Yeah, he's so intricate. He's so in all religions,
God is a mystery, an unfolding mystery. And so you can read a scripture when you're 15, and it's so different when you're 25, and it's really different when you're 65, and it's really different when you're in your 90s. So you live different things, you experience different things, you have a different level of understanding, and hopefully if you're walking with this in this journey, things will unfold to you and it becomes wisdom.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's hard for me not to share the wisdom.
Right.
I don't
my
want you not to
generation-
share the wisdom. I'm just
to
wondering,
give-
as a life coach, how do you deal with different people from all different walks of life? Because
Easy.
everyone doesn't feel the faith.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't feel the way that you do. So
They don't have to. I don't demand that they do. It's fine.
I just
I
want to know
love
how do you help them?
You come from a
With
place
love.
of love.
That's
Love
it.
is the key to everything.
Highest vibration. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
it is.
And-
So if you operating from a place of love, it nothing that they say shocks you. It's like, woo. I mean, I work. My job is working with boys who have sexually inappropriate behavior, and some of it's really inappropriate. Some of it is to the point where they have not put a name on it and that they have to put them in jail, but it has to be treated. So there's a treatment home that they're in. And if I couldn't operate out of a place of love, I couldn't work there because it'd be too much judgment. And I would be thinking, and I would be treating them in certain ways like, oh, well, you did this foul thing. And so,
The human first,
Yeah, and people, and see, that's something that's always troubled me because you can say, oh, I hate pedophiles. Okay, but you gotta love them too, because God calls you to love everybody. God didn't say just love the people that are good. Didn't say just love the people that are easy. You have to love everybody, and that's been it. So my focus has been, and as I've gotten older, it's laser sharp. Is how do I love people? How do I love you? And first, I have to accept you. So I can't try to change you and then say I love you because I'm not accepting you. I want you to change. I want you to be like me. You don't have to be like me. You do not have to be like me. I don't have to agree with you. But when we're working together, I will listen to you. I will ask you questions. And when I've gotten to the point, and this is not just as a life coach, social workers do this too. The client has a right to self-determination. So if you want to be the biggest butthole out here, you're welcome to do that. Don't complain about it, the results, because this is your choice that you've made. And so I'm not going to judge you, but I'll say, well, how else do you think you can operate in this situation? What else could you have said? Could you think of something else to do? Maybe another approach. Let's try that out. How would you do it the next time? So I can ask you questions like that, and then you will say, well, dag, I got something acting like a butthole. Yeah, you have. But you said it, not me.
You deal with a lot of different people and a lot of different traumas. My question is, how do you decompress? How do you not take that stuff home with you?
And you got to do it in 2 minutes left.
And my daughter's sitting here looking at me because, sometimes I come home and I stop by the little store and I have a little bottle of wine. Yeah, no.
Minister.
That's all right. It's all right.
I'll be lying. Let
me tell you what he said. He said, avoid drunkenness. That's what he said. Okay. He said you couldn't drink.
And I avoid
Okay.
But anyway, you know what? And sometimes on the way, especially if I'm at work on the way home, I give a call to somebody who's going to have me to laugh. So I don't have to come home with this, or allow me to get it out before I come in the house. And I will do that with my husband because he'll tell me, don't bring that home.
I love it.
And I'll tell him about something. He said, don't bring that home. Leave it there. Leave it
I
there.
like that he holds you accountable.
Yeah, he says, leave it there because we don't need that at home. We really don't. That's not the place. That's our sanctuary. And so that's not the place for me to bring this stuff. And we try to keep it as peaceful, but
you leave the inner enemy out. All right. This is Miss Diane Butt. She is a life coach. And we thank you for tuning in to GenesisRadio.com.
Thank you.
My name is Kendall Stevenson. I'm the host of the Empowerment Show. This is my co-host. Her name is Shaquana Terry. She's a hell of a co-host. So thank you guys for tuning in. And We're out of here.
Thank you for coming on, Diane.
Peace.